Hey everyone, today we're talking about how to manifest your soulmate partner. And this is for people who are either wanting their soulmate partner or who have a partner and wants to strengthen their union. I've met so many women in the spiritual space and outside of the spiritual space who are dreaming for their dream partner to come and save them or to come and add to their life somehow. But what keeps their dream soulmate partner from entering their lives is living from this idea that they need that partner to feel whole. And so in this video, I teach you how to deliberately manifest your soulmate partner and live in an energetic state that allows this soulmate partner to enter your life. And not just enter your life, but also create the lasting energetic exchange that will continue on in this lifetime forever, where you deepen into self trust for yourself and deepen into trust for your partner as well. And it becomes this beautiful divine union of love, acceptance, support, and also growth and accountability. And you know, everyone in the spiritual space knows that who we surround ourselves with is a spiritual mirror for what's going on in the inside. And so, you calling in your soulmate partner is one of the most important things you can do for your own growth, your own spiritual evolution, and for the evolution of mankind. And so, if this is an interest to you, listen up to what's coming because this is exactly what I did to manifest my soulmate partner and husband, divine union partner. And yeah, let's dive in. This is a pattern that I see reoccur often in clients and just people I talk to in the spiritual space. Many women either don't have a partner and want one, but think, oh my gosh, what are they going to think of the spiritual stuff that I do, or they have a partner or husband or boyfriend and they are not super visible yet or openly not um, really owning their spiritual gifts and spirituality. And they have this fear of losing their partner. And so for me, when I really stepped into this calling on my life to answer my healership, to answer working with energy, to answer being a spiritual guide. Um, I was already married to my husband. And so I also had similar fears in mind. And to a certain extent, though, it didn't debilitate me to the point where I was like, okay, I'm not going to do it. For me, my personality is once I know this is aligned for me and I feel called to do it, I must do it. And so either align with me or it's gonna end, right? And anyway, so that's kind of get jumping ahead. But let's start with how to manifest your soulmate partner. Because there's something very specific that I did to manifest my husband. Um, and this I'm talking about a husband who is the love of my life, who understands me like no other, who accepts me purely 100% authentically for who I am, who loves and support me, and who has supported me and loved me through trauma, through grief, through the birth of our daughter, who we didn't even know was going to make it, and it was in the hospital for 5 months, and through me having um, debilitating anxiety and depressive symptoms. And it has not been a very easy road or journey. And so when people see us and comment on our love for each other and say, oh my gosh, you're so lucky to have that husband, to me, I a little bit cringe inside because I'm like, it's not about luck. Obviously, God blesses us and places people in our lives. And there's also responsibility of self to develop and maintain that relationship. And so there are very specific things that I've done that I needed to do in order to keep that soulmate partner and in order to deepen our love and self acceptance of one another and ourselves, and to allow that to flourish. Otherwise, the spark is not being kept alive. And so, yes, it's a process, it's a journey, it's a commitment, it's an intention. It's not something I think a lot of people think, oh, you find your soulmate partner, you get married, and then you live happily ever after. Like we've been conditioned to believe. And they think, okay, that now I can just sit back and relax. And as we know, you know, I guess I shouldn't say as we know, but everything requires a very specific intention and energy and precision of how you're directing your source energy. And so let me share with you what I've done to direct that energy in alignment with living as a partner of someone who is my soulmate. And it's funny that I say soulmate because my husband's always like, soulmate, I don't know about that word. But I know that we were meant to be um, in this lifetime and that we've been together in many lifetimes before. And anyway, let's start with how I manifested. So I made a very specific list of key traits that I wanted in a partner. And I know we've heard this a lot. Um, so you make the key traits, and these are non-negotiables. These are things that reflect your values. These are things that you desire to have, and you can throw in some fun things too, like tall or um, you know, has I don't know, six pack or whatever you want to. But for me, I kept it very clear on mirroring my values, mirroring on what I actually desired from my heart without and do your best to just fully dream, right? And fully allow to receive whatever it is that you want. Don't try to create this list from what you think is practical or what you think you're gonna be able to manifest, right? For me, I lived in a very specific area of, Southern California for my entire life. I had been surrounded by very much of the same kind of people majority of my life. And so there was a possibility that I would keep myself kind of constrained to a certain type of person. But when I did this, I set the intention to fully allow myself the expansion and space to dream fully about what this ideal partner would look and feel like. And so made the list. It was a very long list too. And I think there was only one like outwardly appearance thing, or maybe two. I think I put handsome for sure. I wanted handsome, and then tall. Because that's just a preference of mine. But everything else was about values and how I saw myself living with this person. And so after you make that list, don't hold back. Make it as long as you like. This is the second part. The second part is to look at each of those items on your list and do a self audit and a reflection. It's a reflection tool and see how embodied am I in that specific value or trait or thing that I want from my soulmate. And so for me, my list, I wish I had kept this list too. I had it for some time and it got lost, but like for example, one of the things on my list was social and gets along well with others, right? Then I had to look at myself and say, am I social? Do I get along with others? On a scale from 1 to 10, how deeply embodied am I in that specific quality? And then okay, for social, I was like a 6. Okay, good. Um, but then it showed me how I can still make improvements in that area because the truth is, if you are not willing and living in alignment with the values and the qualities of that soulmate partner that you seek, then you will not be an energetic match for it. And so, not only should you look at it as a sense of how deeply am I embodied in this trait or value or um, thing, but it can also be, am I a reciprocal or a match for someone who has that? Um, so for example, another thing that was on my list was financially independent, someone who's financially independent. And for that one, when I looked internally, I said, okay, how financially independent am I? At that time, it was like minus 10. It was like I wasn't making very much money. I was in debt from college. I was still living at home. There was a lot that I could, and I realized, like, oh my gosh, I want someone who's financially independent and secure. Meanwhile, I don't have that. So am I going to attract somebody who's financially independent? Probably not, right? Energetically. And so that to me then was the intention of, okay, that's something that I need to fulfill myself. And so the process of doing this, which each and every aspect is then to integrate and pull back pieces of us to make us whole again from the inside. Because when people seek a soulmate, they think, oh, I want all these things that I would love and desire. And there's an aspect inside of us that's thinking this is going to make me whole somehow. But really, the only one that can make you whole is yourself. Because when you become whole within yourself, then your outwardly experience and the people around you will reflect back that mirror of wholeness to you. And so if you are always disconnected from yourself, if you feel lack within yourself, if you don't feel love for yourself, then the outwardly experience and the people that come in your life will reflect that back to you. And thus, you will never find your soulmate partner. You will never find the love that you've been searching for. And so try this practice. It is so insanely good and works like a charm. Um, and here's another thing with the financial thing. Here's another thing I see a lot too is a lot of women want a masculine male like provider relationship, but on the reciprocal end of that, it's not oh, am I a masculine male provider? A lot of women try, especially with like the feminist movement, try to be like, oh, I take care of my own bills, I pay my own way, da, da, I'm independent, which is great. Although, if you want a male, masculine provider man, you're not a reciprocal match for that if you are trying to be that. So, there needs to be an energetic match that way too. Is like, okay, if I want someone who provides and gives to me and allows to and takes care of the finances, then I need to be someone who's willing to receive, someone who's open to receiving that money, that care, that love, right? That doesn't mean you have to not be independent. That doesn't mean you can't make your own money. That means you need to be able to tap into that energetic state, especially when you're dating or meeting um, possible people that you want a relationship with. You need to be able to move from that energy. Otherwise, you might attract the most amazing, beautiful provider men and retract them every time. They will not be attracted to you. You're coming in with masculine energy instead of the feminine counterpart that allows that receives that energy. Um, so there's nuances to it. Um, I don't know if let me see. And yeah, so I would start with the trait activity or the values activity and see how that lands, because when I first did this activity, you don't even, and I've used it with clients too. You don't even have to, like, for example, if you rated yourself on all of those qualities, and for like a handful of them you were at 2 or 3, and you're like, oh, I have a lot of work to do on myself, you don't even have to get to a 10 in order to manifest, attract your soulmate partner. just the awareness of it and the intention to move from that place and see that that's a space that needs to be expanded upon will still attract that soulmate partner. And I've seen it happen where was I completely like for example, in my example, for the financially independent part, was I completely a tad and financially independent when my husband became my husband? No. I was not. Although I was actively aware and moving from a place that is willing to achieve that, that is going to achieve that. And I still do on all those different things. And this list might change too. And so it's a continual process of, oh, okay, I got my husband now. I don't have to worry about maintaining my finances or learning any more about finances. And then, like, no, it's an ongoing process where I still continue to deepen and learn and expand in those different aspects of what I also expect to partake in and receive from my partner. And so this is a continual thing. And and if anything, it becomes heightened when you actually do get married. Like for example, with my husband, we got married and I thought, oh my gosh, yes, it happened. I married my soulmate, blah 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 blah. And after we got married and had my daughter, it's interesting that more disruption happens. And if you're not willing to take full responsibility on what you've manifested and what you're partaking in, the relationship will not survive. And so, because again, your partner is an energetic mirror for you about what is still unresolved and blocked within. And that happened big time for me. Um, I was constantly triggered and angry, and we were butting heads constantly. And I just thought, whoa, how am I recreating what I didn't want? What I thought I had left living in my, previous home with my family and how I was brought up. And so this is because that's still old pattern conditioned self, right? You're still living from the old pattern conditioned self. And so your partner then is your mirror that illuminates and holds that up to you. And it's kind of like, it's a little bit it's triggering for sure, but it's to awaken you. It's to accept responsibility. It's to expand and heal those wounds to allow potential to be accessed. And so it's our responsibility to take 100% responsibility for our wholeness and healing. And what I did, and that's what I encourage you to do is if this is happening, I could have blamed everything on my husband. I does this, he's not perfect. There's many things that I could have just justified ending the relationship on. Spiritually, energetically, I knew that wouldn't solve the problem. Even if I left the relationship, I would just attract the same lesson again, and the same, and the same, and the same. And so, my suggestion and what I did for myself was I chose to stay. And this is not about accepting abuse, like physical abuse or any abuse on, um, or excusing any of that. Like, no, please don't think it's that. I'm talking about like, obviously, minus that, staying and being present and accepting that I'm part of this equation somehow. And so I need to accept my responsibility in this. And for me, that was taking ownership over my healing and wholeness. And so instead of constantly blaming and outsourcing my energy on my husband, I decided then to um, there's lots of things I did. This is around the same time I started learning how to do Reiki. And then through, it's interesting, once you start this process, the universe, God opens up more avenues for you to deepen into this. Because as soon as I started learning how to do Reiki and energy healing, I got this opportunity to get free counseling through my employer at the time. So I started seeing a counselor who was super aligned with me and perfect counselor for me, um, and helped me move through a lot of the trauma that I had with my daughter and my childhood. And then after that, I followed God's call and learned how to do spiritual life coaching, which ultimately I was coaching myself first. I was receiving the coaching, so I was moving through a lot of deep identity work. And so the energy healing, the coaching, the counseling all really helped just rewire me and reprogram my subconscious and my energy and allow my energy to move more clearly and cleanly. And when I did that, when I took ownership and I healed from within what was being illuminated, what was being come up, what was being mirrored back to me in my relationships, especially the one with my husband, I could finally move in a way where I wasn't triggered all the time, where I had discernment, I could see, I had clarity. I was no longer going to be manipulated by myself or others, including my husband. And so, if there's a certain level of, like, for example, I could say there was a certain level of abuse happening in my relationship, not physical, um, but like level of manipulation happening because we all do it unconsciously, whether we realize it or not, and sometimes consciously too. Um, Although when I took accountability and was able to heal and return to my own wholeness and have the awareness when I had that interaction again with my husband or whoever it was, I can see it clearly. And I had the tools and energy to move and live from a rooted place where I could release um, any of the things that was coming up. And so I could finally see and interact in that moment with a clear mind and heart. And doing that allows you to speak and say and live authentically. Speak and live authentically from your heart. Express what you truly desire and feel, and not be manipulated and call out bullshit. Which, for me, with my husband, because I'm so energetically attuned and sensitive, I could pick up on things and I would just act on them. And I would just like aggressively attack on them because I knew the truth. I could feel it. And because I didn't really know have a way to prove it or to, you know, explain it, and I was still triggered so much from my own pains and wounds, that message never clearly got across. So all this distortion would just lead to this muddied mess of us not seeing or hearing each other. And it would just lead to more suffering, more anger, more resentment. But because I chose to work on myself and move from a place of wholeness, I could see more clearly. And so when I was triggered, I could express from my authentic self instead of my wounded self without any expectation of him making me whole again. That doesn't mean I didn't express desires that I had or what did I need in the relationship. That means I didn't require it. I moved from a place of wholeness and love and acceptance for myself and for him. And that is what kept our flame alive. That is what continues to fan the flame of our love to this day, because it's no longer a requirement of him to heal me and make me whole. I am whole. I am love. I am fully accepted. by God, by myself. And that allows me to also receive that from Him. And it's powerful when you do this. It's so powerful. And I've seen it move in my own life. And our relationship has just deepened even more, transformed even more. I've felt love more than ever. And I just feel truly blessed and grateful to have this divine union partnership. And I see it moving through him too. I think he can feel the resonance. He can feel the difference in my energy and the being and the way I conduct myself. He can see the joy in my life, the love, the you know, the abundance, the things that I'm creating, and it's changing him too, right? And so, and it's changing our family, changing our daughter. It's making us even stronger together. And it all starts with the decision to take full responsibility of what we create and manifest in our lives, and to ultimately become one with the Creator, to trust in God wholeheartedly, and allow ourselves to remove and release the blockages that are holding us back from allowing that to happen through us. And when we can become a clear vessel for that love of God to move through us, it moves through the entire family unit. It just it moves through you and your husband or your partner's relationship. It moves through the relationship and the ones that you have with your children. It strengthens your family unit. Your family becomes a temple of light, hope, of love, of transcendence, of connection with the divine. And people can feel it, people can sense it, and it's just beautiful. And it's a journey, and it's something that you don't have to do alone. And I think people who are so quick to give up on their marriage or their relationship, or fall into this, I'm seeing a huge trend of people divorcing their husbands or spouses. And it's almost like I can feel it's almost like a tree that was beginning to grow and strengthen and take root, and it was never given a chance. It was just uprooted or chopped down instead of you know, adding new soil or allowing the sun to shine on it or giving it more water and letting it take root, grounded in the earth, and reach up towards the heavens and allow God to shine its love on this plant, on this relationship. And you can't allow that if your tree is in a tent, right? Blocked from receiving, blocked from love, blocked from spirit. And yeah, again, I just want to clarify, like, this is in an excuse to tolerate severe like abuse of any kind. This is just, a reminder to take ownership over the life you're creating and living, and allow that ownership, even though you're the owner, know that you're a steward of God. Know that you are a servant of God. Know that you live aligned by God. Is what's going to transform you, your partner and you's relationship, and your life ultimately. And yeah, this video just kind of came out like free flowy from my mind and my heart, and I hope this message helped you. And it was fun to reflect and see how far I've come in my journey. And I'll share like a short little fun story. The first day I met my husband, we went to a restaurant, And this is the first day I met him, by the way, where we were just getting to know each other. We had like met on the internet and we met at a coffee shop and then later we got lunch or dinner and we were at this Chinese restaurant and we're checking out, at the cash register and the woman who's like, getting our food and everything is like just smiling the whole time. And as my husband or my not husband then, but my husband now, as he was gonna pay at the counter, the woman like points at me and goes to him like, "Is that your wife?" And he just goes, "Oh no, no, that's not my wife." Like, no. And I still like tease him and we laugh about it to this day that that first day we met, it's like God nodded to us, nodded to me like, this is your husband. This is gonna be your partner. And so if you're in a relationship and maybe it was meant to be, you found this person, you got married, you started a family or whatever it is, and it might seem rocky or hopeless right now or tough or not as strong, like don't lose hope. Have faith in your union. Have faith that it was um, meant for you for a reason. And allow yourself to deepen into and trust that and take radical, full self responsibility for your wholeness, for your love, so that you can receive that as well. And if you have any questions, I know sometimes when I'm like explaining like spiritual concepts or ideas or things like I get it. It can be confusing. Although there's a very clear path, and because it was also like personalized to each of us on our own unique journeys, reach out if you ever need help because I'm here. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. A wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.